a podcast created by two guys brought together by movement, transformed into brotherhood. The boys share their authenticity as they deep dive into what it means to explore this human experience. Shedding light on personal trials and accumulated wisdom, Conscious Collingwood is meant to provoke thought and insight to expand your personal awareness. Come along for the journey as Justin and Jeff exemplify what it means to be a man living wholeheartedly, balancing the divine, masculine, and feminine. Welcome to Conscious Collingwood.
Your muffin.
Oh, thanks, bro.
Get that on you there, muffin.
Thank you. That's so kind. It's just like, why? Why me? 6 weeks of this shit? Can't do it.
When you walked in the room here, that is probably the most miserable I've ever seen you. Fucking.
Yeah, I'm not in the greatest of moods. But
You showed up.
Yep.
You're smiling.
How can I just smile with you?
It's an experience.
It is.
It's a retreat all on its own, Poison Ivy.
It is. It is. I remember hearing about one of the rituals of a Native American tribe where they would pretty much tie you to a red ant mound, and they would let those ants eat you to an inch of your life, and then they'd untie you, and you heal up and you become a man. So
That's a really fun initiation, isn't it?
yeah, I feel after sharing that I have nothing to complain about.
No.
Just trying to find perspective. Even though I'm, sitting on a piece of paper towel because my blisters are popping and I'm oozing.
I'm having PTSD listening to you.
Yeah, it's right. It's funny because it's right where you shared that you had it.
Yeah.
Thank God it hasn't grown to my genitals yet. Hopefully it doesn't.
Don't say yet. As in, like, you're expecting it.
Yeah, it's not going to my genitals.
We don't want to manifest that.
Yeah, no. God.
Watch your language.
I need to breathe. I'm worried. No, I'm just kidding. It's tough. This sucks. But I'm proud of myself.
Just wash your
Nothing
clothes.
I can do now.
No. You're in it.
I'm in it. This is a medicine journey.
It is.
Yeah.
How did you get the poison ivy, Justin?
During the 21K,
Oh, you weren't frolicking through the fields in a photo shoot this time?
no, I was not. It wasn't sweet and cute. There was this part in the 21-kilometer Spartan race where they had us going down like double black diamonds. Very steep. If you lost your footing, you were slamming on your ass and sliding into whoever was in front of you. So I did that, and I slammed so hard, and Dan laughed. He was like, "Holy fuck, you slammed so hard." So I remember it quite vividly, and it was just this part where the grass had been like combed almost from all the walking, and you could see like bushes and stuff or potential, I don't know, supposedly around Blue Mountain it's poison sumac more than poison ivy, but it's all there.
It's poison.
Regardless, it is poison, and I am very sensitive to it. So I got poison ivy again after finally healing my previous poison ivy from 3 weeks ago. So what I find for myself is Anything that takes me away from being able to move my physical body, or it annoys me.
There's the work, Justin.
There's the work. Things you can't change.
No.
How can you be okay with the way things are right now? And trying to find a little grace for myself, because I am definitely not in the greatest of spirits right now. So.
And it's always troubling too, because so you would have done the race on Saturday, today's Tuesday, and so there's a grace period in the sense of like an incubation period, inoculation period, so you don't even know you have it for 24 hours probably.
Yeah, I found out I had it after the 10K.
Yeah,
Sunday.
so Sunday afternoon it would have been like,
I was like, oh, what is this? Did I
Yeah.
scratch myself? Nope. It's poison ivy, motherfucker.
Fuck. Well, you'll be an expert here real soon.
Yeah, there's nothing to be an expert on here. Suffering.
It is just the eternal suffering. It's just part of the experience, I suppose. And
I try to find perspective, though. I really don't want it to overtake me.
well, and the challenge is, dude, it's not one little blister. It's not just a little spot in the arm and stuff. It ends up being a whole half your leg.
It's about this much right now.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's a big week. Next 2 weeks are long, big weeks. 3 weeks. I got the movement teacher training coming up. We're doing a little bit of renovations at the studio. And yeah, there's a lot on Justin's plate, so perfect time.
It's always perfect.
Perfect time. Thank you, universe, for the lessons.
Well, you got to make sure that you allow yourself to feel and don't suppress it. And who knows, maybe you have so much on your plate, it'll be a good distraction.
Yeah, that's how that works. You want to know something about stress, Jeff? It all summates. So just add it to the plate. Justin's gonna overeat this week on his stress plate.
Fucking perspective.
Nah, I'll be fine. It's just it's getting worse, so I'm in a shit mood.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna honor that.
Do you want to stop now?
No, let's
Okay.
just keep going. How are you?
Good. I actually just felt like sitting here and listening today. I feel like I might have to carry the podcast because Justin's not in a good mood. Okay, so aside from the poison ivy, we both participated in the Spartan at Blue Mountain this past weekend. You did the 21K, then the 10K with your lovely and a bunch of friends. I participated in the 10K. And did anything new show up for you? I mean, you've done a triathlon this season.
Yeah, the 21.
21K.
I've only ever run 14 kilometers. That was my most. And when I did the 14K, I ran up 2.5 times. So, yeah, my legs. The 21 was 6 times up, 21 kilometers. And foolishly, I didn't eat the morning of because I had a coffee with a little bit of maple syrup, collagen, creatine, and then I had these honey sticks that, I can't imagine they were actually honey. I got it from Dan and Ariana, so I was like, oh, these are probably honey. I don't know about that. They didn't taste like they were honey. Tasted like they were flavored or something. But I was taking anything, so I had 5 honey sticks. And so I'm running, and it's funny, we FaceTimed Ari I FaceTime Jess and Ari and Atla at 14K, and Dan and I are running down the hill like, this is easy, like we're having a great time. By kilometer 18, I text Jess, I was like, I'm fucking done. Someone's got to airlift me off this mountain. Because it was the last time up, the sixth time up, and I've never felt this before, ever. It felt like there was no energy in my body. All the energy in my cells had just gone. It was very interesting. There was, I call the 21 kilometer my pilgrimage. That's what it felt like. Because you want to give up, but you just keep going. My quads were cramping real bad. So there was only there's a pace I could go and maintain the tension and the pain. And I just kept trucking. And then when I got to the top of the sixth time, because cramp started around the fifth time, so I'm cramping, just keep going. Eating my fucking honey sticks. And I remember being at the top of the sixth, and it felt like I actually felt like I couldn't keep going. It was like there was nothing left. So I laid down for a second, which was a foolish idea because I cooled down. I got really cold. But, in those times when, man, you've pushed yourself to your physical max, there's really no rationale. Your mind starts going places. Of just very interesting. Yeah, felt very lonely. And then I just kept going, got down, and all I could do was walk by the end of it. I was walking at a good pace, but man, the cramps and the lack of energy, there was a rope crawl, so you had to go upside down and crawl on a rope. So my ankles, the back of my ankles were on the rope, and I was walking, like a sloth. And so Dan was like, bro, I couldn't figure it out, and I just passed him. I don't really remember even doing it.
Wow.
I just was out of body. It was wild. It was a push. I was proud I finished it.
I was going to say, how did you feel when you crossed the line, jumped the fire, and had your picture taken?
Yeah.
Where does your mind go?
I was pretty pooped. I was done. I literally got to Jess. She was waiting for me, and I was like, can you just take me home? I'm done. I didn't feel like I wanted to celebrate or anything. I just needed, I was feeling pretty sick. I didn't want to get heat stroke, or dehydration, or whatever it was that was happening to me. I don't feel like I was dehydrated, but I was feeling very sick. So she just got me in the car. We went home. I kind of felt bad because, Dan, Wes, and the other guy that we did it with, we're waiting, and I just fucking ditched. So Dan came down afterwards, and he thought I was upset. I wasn't upset. I was just gassed.
You ghosted them at the finish line.
I ghosted everybody at the finish line. Yeah, I was just like, peace, take me home. So I learned a lot about preparation. And I realized on the 10K I had I made chocolate chip pancakes for everybody. I had some eggs, and that gave me some good energy. So now I know next year if I'm going to do the 21, pancakes, chocolate chip pancakes.
So forward question here, because you're in such good shape, do you think you were just naive in thinking that you didn't have to eat that morning, or you just were nervous and didn't have an appetite? Because you are a pillar for health and nutrition.
Yeah.
And it seems a little intriguing that you wouldn't put gasoline in the machine before you went and took it on a journey.
I know. So here's my thinking around it, Jeff. I had about half an apple crumble the night before.
Like a whole tray? Like half a tray of apple?
Well, no, it was like a pie.
Oh, okay.
It was like I bake my apple pies in a pie, or apple crumble in a pie. So I just ate half of that. I had steak chili. I had chili and fries. So I was I had an abundance of energy or fuel the night before. And so my thought was, that's got to be in my system still. And I'm also naive to long distance sports.
Yeah.
I've only ever run 14K, so my thought was, I ate a lot the night before. I'm going to have a little bit of maple syrup with my coffee, because I had nerves, and I don't like...
You don't want to be full.
I don't like eating in the morning.
Yeah.
Very often I don't. It just doesn't feels heavy in my stomach, so I didn't. And yeah, I thought the honey sticks and the maple syrup would do me just fine. That is not how that worked. So I learned a lot. And yeah, I'm a pillar of health, but in uncharted territory, I'm learning. And you're learning every day. So I learned, I get another opportunity next year to try different fueling strategy and play with the outcome.
Interesting.
I learned a lot.
Intriguing. Well, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
It is. It really is it's an individual quest, and the thing that motivates me and inspires me is just seeing all the different variations of people. There's some of the fittest people you'll see, and some people that are pretty out of shape, but they're there meeting their edge and doing it right. And I try to make an effort to compliment or encourage people that maybe are sitting on the side of the trail or just taking a breath, right? And you give them a high five, you do something, and I certainly hope that's a little bit of light that inspires them. But regardless, it's like they're in it, and it's beautiful to see.
Oh man, it was so wonderful. I met so many beautiful people all weekend long, just grinding.
Yeah.
And one thing I really do adore is some of the most unassuming people just crush it.
Savages.
Man, it inspires me.
100%. You did you see the little video I sent you of my pre-race?
Oh yeah, dude.
I ran with a fucking bottle of mustard the whole race.
Did it help?
Well,
because you said you were dealing with pain in your knee, but was it pain or was it cramping?
It would have been. I don't know. I don't know how to describe. Like it was just like not a ligament, but it was I don't know. Just started on the outside of my right knee. It was happening with both, but more so my right, and then it just started to linger up into my quad a little bit. But I think I overdid it. I think I with the mustard.
Oh.
I think I gave myself the mustard scoots. So I was strategic. So I'm like, I'm not going to take it unless I need it. Like I don't want to be like, as a preventative. I want it to be used as a curative.
Of course.
And so I don't know if they called it this track, but that one big climb in the middle of the race, like they took you down and then all the way back up.
Yep.
The climb to Sparta or whatever it is. I was like, oh, these motherfuckers put it right here. So I got to the top and I was like, okay, yeah, bit of a preventative. So anyway, I took a couple shots, but by the end of the race, I was like, ooh, I might have overdone this. So I was riding through the village. I'm like, I might have to pull over.
Oh no.
Yeah, but the grumbling, the contractions went away.
Yeah.
And I was okay. I got through it all.
Funny.
But I had to make a stop on the way home.
Mustard tiger.
Mustard tiger. But I believe it works. There's something maybe to say about the acidity, the vinegar. Or, you guys are doing pickle juice and.
I ran with 2 dill pickles in a Ziploc bag. in the 10K because I was like, I ain't cramping today, motherfucker.
No, it felt good.
And my final jump over the fire after the 10K, I have a pickle in my hand.
Yeah, nice.
Absolutely.
I was gonna do it with the jar of mustard, the fucking thing of mustard.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I want a good.
You're
I want a
to be
good.
French's
I want a
sponsored
good.
athlete.
I want a good photo. I'm not gonna be a goof.
Yo, that would be their first sponsored athlete.
Can you imagine?
French's.
My face on the side of the.
I don't run
French's
without
photo.
mustard.
Less is more.
Less is more.
Less is more. So interesting to hear because, I did the 10 and I'm in it, and I was supposed to start with those guys at 10:30, but I had some registration issues.
I heard you got registered for the next year.
For next year, yeah. Thanks, Dan. By accident. So anyway, in line, dealing with all that hoopla, and then so I ended up teeing off around 11 o'clock or so, and so I'm by I haven't seen anybody I know. I'm in it by myself, which is fine. Yeah, and I used a lot of the time, and I'd say I forced myself, but I used a lot of the time to dream. Took myself out of my head and into, where I want to go in life, and, using gratitude as a tool, and it worked well. And then I started thinking, as I'm listening to your story here, maybe I need more of an edge. Maybe I need to push myself more so that I'm not thinking like that. Maybe I need to go, hey, what's left there? But at the same time, the 10K is still a lot. It's a lot. I haven't conquered all the obstacles yet, so I'm wondering if I need to improve in that area first before I would.
Would you fail?
Attempt. What's that?
Would you fail at?
I didn't get the rope climb.
Really?
No, I did. The thing with me is I'm too impatient. Like, I give myself like 2 attempts and then I'm okay, I gotta go because I'm so fixated on time. I'm like, I could run this loop faster than me sitting here, slaying my head against the wall. The other thing too is when I was running at 11, I think the crowd was getting a little bit bigger, the groups, so there's just more people coming. So if I was to try and remember quickly, not to bore everybody, but it's like one of the first or second ones, but the slanted wall, the angled wall with the grips, the holes, and the chain. I got fucking 3/4 of the way and lost it.
That's one of the hardest ones.
Yeah.
58% complete rate.
Oh, I was like, God damn it. So, get through that one. I'm trying to think with the rope climb. I think due to some strength improvement, but also drier conditions, we got to give the conditions some credit. I got through the monkey bars and the swing. Beautiful. Last year I didn't. The one, what do they call that one where the grips turn?
Yep.
I got 3/4 of the way through that one too. Actually, that's a lie. I got halfway. So I got to the middle, and then the next one was just in such an awkward position. Yep. And I needed to listen to Dan afterwards. There's some rock climbing techniques of how to not fatigue your body and give yourself a break and stuff. And I was fighting and just too impatient. It's like, just sit here and regroup for a second. Yeah. And I just got kind of flustered. So that's one of my big takeaways is being a little more patient and just take a breath here and, try and get through it. But I was pretty pumped when I got through some of the other ones that I failed at last year. I was fucking running and clapping to myself. I don't care. Yeah. I was celebrating.
Amen. As you should.
Yeah. It's funny. So, yeah, was there anything else I failed? No, those were 2 or 3 of the ones, yeah. The one with the grips are like 8 feet in the air. You got to jump up and then pull yourself up. I was almost successful in my first attempt, and then in my second one. So what happened there was, and I'm making an excuse, more so a justification. But there was a couple of guys lingering around, they weren't doing it. It's like they were there to try and help people, but they were in the race, and they're in the way.
Oh, that's.
I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Get out of the way. I'm not going to have that conversation with them. And then I look behind me, and there's just a wall of people coming. I'm just like, nope, just go around the penalty and just get out of the way. So
Dave DeWolf sent me a video of him running. We're racing, and he's sending videos while he's racing. And he's like, running penalty laps like a motherfucker because he tore his bicep. And then he's like, but still hunting souls. I died laughing.
Yeah.
I was like, this guy's epic.
Yeah. It's interesting too, where because I did two triathlons. I did this last year. My mentality, like any nerves I had going into this, were like pretty much nil.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, this is just another physical challenge.
This is an easy 10K.
Hadn't really thought about it during the week. Didn't think about the day before. I was kind of like, oh yeah, I gotta fucking go do this tomorrow.
Yeah. That's great.
Which is fun. So, but yeah. But at the end of the two, like I'm sore. I'm still sore. I'm stiff. The more I move my body, I get it moving. Things feel better. But I'm pretty sore, and I feel like I use my body regularly. It's just crazy because you're obviously using different muscles and different muscle groups, and you're putting your body in situations I'm not used to. So my traps are really sore.
Interesting. My upper body's not sore at all.
No, you're gorilla.
Easy work.
Yeah.
The legs. My quads feel like hot dogs that are about to burst on the oven in the
oven,
pan,
yeah.
dude. Over the fire. That's what it feels like. Oh!
Yeah.
They're getting better.
Well, and this year too, coming down the hills, that's where my knees started getting pain. Where I don't remember that last year, and I started reflecting on that. That's because I was sliding down the hill last year most of the time.
Mud.
There was no ability to even really walk down the hill.
No.
You had to almost be on your ass.
You're skating or you're sliding.
Yeah. So I ended up 10 or 11 minutes faster than last year. And I was thinking, considering what the conditions were, it doesn't seem like it's that much faster. But then I started thinking, well, I was gaining a lot of speed going down the hill. And in theory, I'm probably not moving that much faster up the hill. It's still one step at a time.
Yeah.
Even though it was muddy and stuff.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you can only go so fast up the hill.
You can only go so fast.
Yeah. So anyway, that was that, dude.
How do you feel? Proud of yourself?
Yeah, it's always nice to get that medal and jump over, and I think having the experience is fun. Like,
Yeah.
No doubt we'll do it again next year, and it's like, okay, for me this will be year 3, and it's like, maybe I do try the 21. But if that is the case, I feel like I'm going to want to be a little more prepared. Like, do some hill hiking, get the knees, the quads, the legs.
I have a whole training program in my mind already.
Like, I'm not so much worried about the obstacles because that'll just come with conditioning and, work throughout the years and whatever else. And then obviously the awareness that's more mental, just let's be a little more patient and whatever else. But from the physical standpoint, let's make sure the legs are ready to go.
Yeah, 1,346 meters of elevation. A lot of climbing for the 21.
Yeah. Yeah, I got to find a way to utilize the glutes a little more, I think, too.
For what?
It wasn't sore. It's just back there waiting.
Oh, I know. Mine,
put me in, coach.
Mine too, dude. Yeah. Well, you'll. That just means your ass is developed.
Yeah.
But
that's fun.
There's other things that need work.
Yeah. Yeah, I fucking passed this one guy, and we're just, we're coming down the hill, and he's just in awe of the view, right? He's got to be from the city, and he's just like, this is beautiful. Wow, he's just like higher than a kite. Like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And he goes, and we're just shooting the shit for 2 seconds, like, yeah, I'm back to work on Monday. Like, more or less, like, we're in bliss. We're doing this physical challenge. It's a great time. Like, yeah, I'm back to work on Monday.
Back to work on Monday. That's funny.
Oh, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, back to work. And here we are.
And here we are. Oh, mercy. Oh, Justin. What else is going on?
I don't know, man. I'm just overcoming this shit mood.
Yeah, I hear you.
It's not easy when you get into one.
You know, I think this is a similar topic, but I listened to a podcast last week. I just finished up reading a book around Indigenous. This guy's a psychic medium. He used to have a show called Spirit Talkers, and he's an Indigenous fellow. So I just finished reading that book, and it's very enlightening and interesting. And I've started reading another book on Ayurveda. And my point in this is, I've been in this energy of this human experience is just fucking wild.
Dude.
Especially with all the chaos we're living in right now. And just questioning the existence of everything. You know, is this really a grand awakening, or has every generation that's come been in their own grand awakening? Whether it's World War I, World War II, fucking, the industrial age in the 80s. Like, is it just one continuous grand awakening, or are we going through something completely different and this is just a little bit more of a trip? But, we've got stuff going on at home, in the family, outside the family, just when it comes to, social challenges. And then other family health stuff. So you have the heaviness of that and the chaos of the world, but then there's elements of finding so much bliss and joy and gratitude. And yesterday in particular, just having some conversations around business and life and everything else, you're just like, I fucking feel, half my body feels so good over here and the other half feels so heavy.
Yeah.
And it's just a fucking weird paradox.
It's a wild.
It's like, what?
Yeah. I think the key here is, I forget who said it, but you can't understand God without understanding a paradox. Because I feel the same. So much of my life is, it was funny. Jess mentioned, she was like, maybe you have shingles. And I was like, no. I was like, you just triggered me. I don't have shingles.
You just triggered me.
My life is way too good to be stressed. Stressed for shingles. I fell in poison ivy doing an endurance race through the bush.
And that sounds more manly too and warrior-like.
And so, because it is the paradox of my life right now, is so much of it is amazing and beautiful and awesome, and I'm in awe of how happy and content, or I wouldn't say content, but I'm happy and excited for the future. And
fulfilled.
Very fulfilled in my heart and my soul and my mind, and I'm knowing that it's the process right now. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but the act of working towards my dream is what is exciting. And I'm in a lot of physical discomfort, which disrupts my sleep, makes me constantly distracted. So I'm also having to navigate that. And that's the paradox. It's like, man, life is a trip.
Yeah.
It's whack.
Yeah. I reflected to Terry this morning because, just with the hecticness of us going on, our lives going on, you have life itself, but then, our girls are busy with after school activities and stuff. And I just kind of shared that we're just kind of in the thick of our life right now. Like, the girls are at an age where life's very busy. We've got the business, we've got other stuff going on, and it's just this time. It's time to grind for the next couple years here.
Yeah.
Because before you know it, Elle will be out of the house, and George is growing up, and then soon that she will be too, and we're still establishing the business and the foundation for all that to get to a place where we really don't have to be involved as much as we are. And so we're just in this time of growth ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying to get to a point in retirement by the time we're 45 or something, but it's like, it's just, we're in that phase right now. But it's just a fucking trip. And it's almost, you almost find the comedy in it, the levity, right? You just zoom out and go like, what is going on here?
Mm-hmm.
You know? And I found myself too, where I was going with that as well, was just sharing with Terry, it's like we got to make sure that rest is a priority, because yes, if we are dealing with all this chaos, if you want to call it chaos, and we're not taking care of the body and ourselves, then guess what? You are going to get sick. Your immunity is going to get, get challenged, and blah blah blah. So that was a reminder to myself that came to me today, is just making sure while we're doing all the busy stuff, we make time to take care of ourselves and rest as best possible, because it's important. Take care of the machine.
And actually, to go back to your point where, is this time of what's all happening in the world stressful? Like, is this the most stressful time to be alive? No.
It's probably the easiest fucking time to be alive.
It's a great, easy time. Chaos is always happening. And, if you really actually look back at your life, like, you think about 9/11, man, that's a chaotic time. Or, even further back when there were other wars. That shit's always happening. And there's always an opportunity to be stressed out about things you can't really change.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just life. It's learning to navigate through the uncomfortable and not be distracted and continue to follow your dream. I was listening to this podcast with Chris Bumstead. He's Mr. Olympia. Brilliant guy, like super fucking grounded. I actually would love to see him on Paul's podcast.
Oh yeah.
Because he's very open about talking about his emotions and quite conscious guy. And he was like, he said to me, or to the, to me, while I was listening to the podcast, technically was, he, dude, we were in a room together. That's what it felt like. No, he's a wise dude. He was saying, you have to be conscious of how you participate in your life. So he's like, when I make a choice to do anything, I envision it going right, and I envision it going wrong, and how I'm going to show up to both. How do I fall from grace, and how do I win? How do I become the champion?
Talk about preparation
and the process of both. Like, he's like, I think about the process, I think about how I'm going to engage, I think about if the process doesn't work, how am I going to show up, and if the process does work, how am I going to lose, and how am I going to win? How am I going to start over?
Yeah. And
if it doesn't work.
He's okay with losing because he's got a plan.
I've already thought it through.
Yeah.
It's that, and that blew me away. I was like, yeah, that's a great way to think.
I don't think you can be more grounded than that.
You can't be more grounded, because I think when an expectation isn't met, it's like, can be life-shattering for somebody, and then they have to pick up the pieces, whether, but if you've already, premeditated, okay, if it doesn't, and it's not like focusing on, I'm not going to make it, but it is being, grounded enough to think about it and be like, okay, well, how would I move forward? Because life is unpredictable, and just because I have hopes and dreams doesn't mean they're going to come to fruition. Mm-hmm. So let's be realistic and figure out a plan for if I fail.
Yeah, I'm immediately thinking about the likes of watching a golfer who loses a tournament in a heartbreaking fashion or something, and instead of saying something that you were going to regret or react in an unjust manner, you've already kind of pushed yourself there, and so when you do lose, it's almost a trigger to go, okay, I'm going to snap into this state, and this is who I'm going to be, this is how I'm going to react if it doesn't work out in my favor, right? That's a very mature and wise way of looking at something.
Yeah, dude. It's been something I've been meditating on the last few days, because I'm like, that was wise.
Mm-hmm.
Very wise. And so, yeah, I've been, being in physical discomfort or having your health taken away it's a big perspective shift, because once it comes back, you're like, ooh, liberated. Oh man, I've got my health back. And so, I don't want to say it's a gift. Maybe it is. You could see it as a gift. I could see it as a gift. So, and it's funny, you think you're over it, and then it comes back, and you're like, okay, how am I going to actually show up to this? And, I appreciate you, sitting with my little pity party at the start, because that's important too. But, how I'm going to show up after this and the next few days is up to me, and yeah, it's on my mind.
That's the persistence and resiliency. It's what's necessary.
Yeah.
Just keep chugging away. When you talk too about this awakening and things that are going on, and if this time in life is easier than it was in previous years, it's like one thing I was thinking about on the hill, and just looking down this beautiful area, Georgian Bay and the surrounding landscape, it was just so stunning on the weekend.
It was that's my favorite weekend.
Blissful. I remember being at the top of the hill looking out, because I was by myself, literally, just looking around and just being like, this physical human experience, like being able to just witness and see what I can see right now, that is worth a lot. It is, I don't know, it was just so fucking beautiful.
This is home.
Yeah. And the thing about these physical challenges and the pursuits, and it could be just doing a push-up, but it could be also walking and doing 10K or 21K in the Spartan, is when you get out of your head, you get into your body and into your heart. And I don't know if there's probably a scientific explanation other than you're just experiencing yourself.
You're in wonder.
Yeah.
Wonder.
You're in wonder, curiosity.
Ah.
And you just start to alchemize stuff. It just starts to happen. And so that's why I'm so impressed by the people that don't look like they should be on the mountain right now. But they're there, and they're guaranteed going to be better than they were when they're at the bottom.
Yeah.
And so, I just, I get in that phase sometimes where I'm like rehearsing motivational speeches, and I wish I had a sort of documented one when I finished the race. But, the one thing that came to mind when I was, call it in meditation during the race, is we don't have any excuses as a society now. Yes, there's some people dealing with some really, challenging issues over in the Middle East and beyond and whatever else. But for us that have, a pretty good lifestyle, even if we're struggling here with some poverty and stuff, we still have a pretty good opportunity. And, I always try and keep it simple. And it's like, we're not at a stage in our life where we have to plow the fields, clear the trees, to farm the land. That's already fucking done. We don't have to clear the paths. We don't have to pave the roads. That shit's already done. We have the internet. We have the access to the world at the click of a button. We have no fucking excuses. So anybody that is having the pity party or having that victimhood mindset for more than a few minutes, fuck, I struggle with that.
Oh yeah.
I have impatience for that, because it's just like, come on. But then I have to step back and go, that's someone's spiritual journey to go through their turmoil and their pity party and all that sort of stuff. And the only thing the likes of you and I and others can do is just shine as bright as possible and be some sort of inspiration and light. And you can't help people that don't want to be helped. So
yeah. Their problems aren't for me to solve.
That's right.
It's for them to solve, and I might have an impact in my perspective, because maybe I've gone through something similar, and but at the end of the day, it's theirs.
Yeah.
Theirs to hold.
Mm-hmm. But when I get into that mindset, it almost motivates me that the groundwork's been laid.
Oh yeah.
The infrastructure's been laid. There's hydro. there's beautiful souls that know how to fucking deal with electrical. Pardon me.
I know it's
Everything
funny.
is taken care of.
Yeah.
I just get to be myself and do what I want to do, for Christ's sakes. For the most part.
Yeah. Isn't that beautiful?
Very fortunate.
I feel very fortunate.
You know?
I do also think, like, I would have thrived if it was the time to plow the fields. I actually would have loved that.
Well, you likely did in
I
a
would've-
previous life.
Yeah, I think I did. Farmer.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny. Where do I go? I got so many thoughts. I had a lot of thoughts from this week.
Good.
The podcasts
Let 'em
and
ride.
everything else. But you know, people will argue about what we're all dealing with when it comes to the matrix and being stuck in this machine and, you know, the slavery of making the money and all that sort of stuff. But it's not the worst life when you look at it from a positive aspect.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that goes back to you know, life, universe, God wanting to experience itself in light and the polarity of light and darkness.
Yeah.
And even if we are stuck in this dark matrix, whatever else, find the light in it.
The perspective is yours.
Yeah.
And if you're looking to complain, you'll find 1,000 things to complain about.
Well, they're endless.
Oh, they're fucking endless. And that's the thing. It's our perspective.
Yeah.
And if you're not in relationship with yourself, then you probably have a shit perspective. You know?
Mm-hmm. And I don't know why this week, dude, but I was listening to that one podcast, Aubrey and Matthias DeStefano, but I'm aware of this, but I never really, for some reason, felt it. But the concept that, you know, there's just a trillion different realities happening all at once. And I don't know why I just sat with that thought further after that podcast. It's like it's just really true, because my reality is different than yours, and your reality is different than the person outside, you know. And so, yeah, simultaneously, if there's 7 billion people on this planet, there are 7 billion different realities happening all at once because of perspective, and views on everything. And,
well, add the animals in there too, and the trees.
Exactly. And I've actually found myself, especially this week, with just, not heaviness, but just everything that's going on, and maybe with some maturity and a little more wisdom, is just wanting to be more still in it all. Mm-hmm. Like, not even reacting to the situation. Like, just sit there and observe it.
Like what, for example?
I don't know. It could be commenting on a challenge that our daughters are going through or something. Maybe a family member's going through. Instead of having an opinion, I suppose.
Okay.
So, not that I have the answers or know everything, but I feel like I have some insight. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, that might not even be the right angle. So it's like, what does my opinion matter? Mm. If someone asks for my help or support, I'll give it. But if not, I'm just going to sit here and observe.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, you know, I think your ego can be slick and slide itself in there without you knowing it, and you can ruffle some feathers. I don't know if that makes any sense or not, but... And there's almost, you know, takeaways from Wayne Dyer's interpretation of the Tao Te Ching is it's almost like, when you feel you should do something, do the opposite. Like, I need to call that person and chew them out, or I need to go and do this. It's like, no, do the opposite. That's your ego trying to feel safe and defend itself. And yes, it's doing its job, but it's let it pass, you know.
There's what comes from me is, don't be so reactive.
Yeah.
I grew up with a father that was very reactive, and then I became, you know, reactive as a child, but also non-reactive with intense situations. And I've taken that into my adult life in the sense that I am able to sit back and watch something happen, and through the process of becoming healthier and really navigating healthy or non-violent communication and relationships of all sorts, of all kinds, really being able to like, okay, I actually notice in relationship, I need time. Like if there's conflict or, you might not even want to call it conflict, but something to resolve, I'll need time away to really figure out my thoughts before trying to fix it or resolve it. And whenever I've tried to do that, I'm usually like stumbling or not, or even maybe conforming instead of having an answer for myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of a great summary of what I was trying to say. I think you use a little more brevity. just observe. Where I struggle with that too is a sense of responsibility and accountability that I become complacent if I'm not working or putting an effort to resolve something. Mm-hmm. Whether that's a conflict at home or it's a conflict in society. It's like, I need to be, if I'm not speaking up and doing something, I'm complacent. But I don't think that's the case, because maybe if more people sat back and observed and were accountable for their own emotions, and we wouldn't be in a lot of the situations we're in,
In Marshall Rosenberg's Nonviolent Communication.
Oh, just in case, you never know.
Yeah. Thanks. He talks about, there's the optimal choice for you and your dream team, everybody involved in your life, your wife, your kids. Then there's the suboptimal choice, which can be good for you, but shit for everybody else, or it can be shit for everybody involved, including yourself. And then there's indifference, which is still a choice. You're a choice to do nothing, but expect everything to stay the same, and there's no resolve. And then there's also calling a timeout. So you call a timeout to find greater clarity, so you can come back to your heart and not make maybe a suboptimal choice.
Yeah.
Give yourself time to make the optimal choice.
I like that. God. The challenge too that I'm recognizing too, especially this last week, which is some of the content I've taken in, and previous before that, is just we're all just a bunch of trauma bubbles fucking bouncing into each other. We're just problems just bouncing into each other, and how to navigate that, right? And some people have the communication skills to have conversation, others don't, and it's just very challenging, and it can be very challenging. But just this concept that we're just all if like we've learned in men's circle, we're all more unique than we are different, and if people could recognize that, oh my gosh, this world would just be a little more cohesive and a little easier to navigate if we were all on the same team with each other.
And that's what Prisma was. Prisma was finding yourself within others, and then also honoring yourself and honoring them simultaneously.
Yeah. Isn't that what namaste means?
The light in me honors and respects the light within you. Yeah. There's deep wisdom in that.
Yeah.
Because if we are all trauma bubbles, to find grace for everybody else, because the truth is you have to find grace for yourself first, and then to the capacity you can find grace for yourself, you'll find grace for others, and that's the world healing itself in real time.
Yeah.
I've had to do that a lot. I've made a lot of mistakes.
Oh yeah.
Jesus Christ. Man.
Dude, that is we've discussed that. Terry and I have discussed that a lot around, some of the stuff the girls have had to deal with throughout their journeys through school and stuff. And what I recognize in their friend circles and the culture of what they deal with, and even, applying it to adults, is no one's allowed to make a mistake. Like, no one allows anybody to make a mistake. It's like they expect everybody to be perfect. It's like, that's not how it works. Like, there's no forgiveness. There's no understanding that, she gave me a dirty look and fucked up, or this conversation over here happened and it was just a mistake. Like, there's no resolve, there's no reconciliation, there's no healing. It's just hurt. It's like, okay, well, listen, we all make mistakes. Let's just take a breath here and let's talk about that mistake that affected us. Let's learn from it. Let's heal that thing, and then let's just move on. But one dagger happens, and then it festers and doesn't get dealt with, and just snowballs.
I wonder why they're looking for that too.
Well, I think it goes back to
are they seeking conflict, or are they just wanting to be right, or wanting, what are they looking for?
I don't know if it's right or wrong, but from my observation, it's again back to that saying that we've used on here, is it's just tension it's just love trying to express itself, just the tension, and their potential not getting it from home or the source that they need it. And so that feeling right, that sense of I'm right, you're wrong, that's a sense of false worthiness they're getting, and that they're getting love for themselves, but it's a completely false identity, which is going to cause more problems. But at the end, it's just a lack of love in the situation. And that's what they're searching for.
Yeah,
that's my opinion. So, but it's just witnessing adults' inability to communicate. It's the older I get, the days go by. And the lack of self-awareness in the adult community. The kids are growing up. The kids are finding their way. They just have poor leadership.
Yep, that's what it feels like.
Yeah, it's kind of sad.
I didn't have good. Well, I actually had good leadership. My stepdad was like one of the most pivotal human beings in my life. Like, he was very positive, had a lot of life experience, very connected to his heart. Always told me to follow my heart and what I love to do, and allowed me to make decisions and fail and be there when it didn't work out. And then I found Paul, and that was the inspiration I needed to really choose something to move forward in. And he had a lot of tools and resources, and what I loved about Paul was it was all about do the work on yourself, and then the puzzle pieces are going to start fitting together. Mm-hmm. If you think of yourself as a circle, you could think of it as a puzzle. You have to do the outside to contain self, and then maybe all the pieces within self are the relationships you have with others. So as soon as you can find your boundaries and create the edges of yourself, who you are, then you can start putting the rest of the puzzle together until it is a clear picture.
God, that's beautiful.
Thanks, man. That just came into my mind.
Did it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because it's true. It's all about communication and relationship. But if you can't communicate with yourself in a loving way, you'll never love anybody else.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. That outer surface of the puzzle, that circle, that's the foundation, that's the boundary, that's yourself. You're establishing connection with yourself, and then.
And when I went to the mandala painting workshop in California with Paul, the first call out was if your mandala if it didn't have a clear boundary, your self was leaking. There's leakage, so you're not embodied. Something's going on. You have to create that boundary.
Yeah.
For anything to work in your life.
Fuck, dude. The symmetries between that analogy you just used, the cells in our body, it's all about connection. And so many of us are disconnected from ourselves, disconnected from community, and the disconnection from self is where it really all starts, right? And that's where we're all at. And
it's so important for, people to get involved in learning how to communicate better and create positive relationships. Obviously, you and I are now moving towards supporting people in that, creating a relationship with themselves so that they, can create positive change in their lives, and knowing that it will affect, if you level up yourself, every aspect of your life will level up. Yeah. It doesn't mean life is going to be easy. There's always going to be challenges. There's always going to be poison ivy on your ass cheek, creeping towards your genitals, and sometimes you just have to, you just have more tools to navigate it.
That's right.
I was able to, I wasn't lashing out at Jess this morning, but I just was like in a shit mood. I communicated that and said, toss and turning all night. I'm in a lot of discomfort right now, and it sucks. Just want to let you know. Yeah. And she can honor me because I'm being respectful and speaking to her kindly instead of lashing out, and that allows her to have empathy and compassion for me in my situation. And then her empathy and compassion for me allows me to have a little bit more empathy and compassion for myself. So it's so beautiful is life when you learn how to communicate, when you learn how to not be so reactive to the stress that's going on, and instead of perpetuating, you heal it. And in that, I felt loved and supported.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
even by
amazing.
you.
Oh.
I got to have a little pity party and complain a little bit and be in my shit mood, and I feel a lot better now.
Oh, Jesus. If that's you complaining in a pity party, that's fuck all.
That's me.
Jesus Christ. Shut up.
Sour me. But that's, years of evolution.
I shouldn't be disrespectful. It might
No.
feel a lot to you.
Hey, it was a lot for me.
Yeah.
But of years of evolution, that is what it is now.
Yeah.
It was worse,
Here's I feel like I want to wrap up because you said some really beautiful stuff there, but I think I'd be remiss if I didn't say this. But I want to give this person credit, but I can't remember where I heard it. But he talked about leadership and this concept that you need the beacon, someone you put on a pedestal. You know, whether someone is good or bad, they're the same. Like, it's the leadership. So if you had a father who was abusive and whatever else, that's still a leader. It's your own personal self-awareness that's going to go, I don't want to be like that. I want to change. So whether you had a good individual or a bad individual, they're both leaders. And when I heard that, I was like, holy smokes. And I think that sort of ties into what you're talking about, is just, connection back to self. Because if you take that time to become self-aware, you can sift and sort, because, in that darkness, there's light to be seen. Mm-hmm. So, and the math's pretty simple. I don't want to be like that, so let's do the opposite. I don't want to lash out and, make Jess upset and be a real asshole, so I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to tell her what I need. I'm going to tell her why I'm triggered. I'm going to communicate, and then you felt love in that situation. Mm-hmm. So then there becomes an element of gratitude for the past, for that person who lashed out at you or whatever else, who was reactive, because now you've grown because of that. Mm-hmm. It's, and that's where gratitude and appreciation just starts to alchemize and dissolve everything, grounds you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you see what I'm saying, though? That's what trips me up with this life. It's like, let's say it is 30 years ago. If you don't go through that bullshit and have the self-awareness, like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah. And
then you can apply it 30 years later. Thanks.
Oh, yeah.
Appreciate that.
I literally just had a psychedelic experience of my mind. I just, in a moment, reflected back on how I, had I would call it poor leadership, aka, a very reactive home life, yet also simultaneously very loving mother. And then I had a very intelligent, loving stepfather. And then I was in construction and I was navigating people losing their minds. But when I was an apprentice, I had a mentor who was
Everybody called him Jimmy. His real name was Woodrow. I actually thought it was sick. And we drove to London every day. We didn't have to. There were jobs closer. But he was who my buddy's dad wanted us to learn from. Never lost his cool. Never spoke without thinking very thoroughly of what he was going to say. He was a master problem solver and did things, thought like outside of the box. So I was able to see poor leadership from reactive foremans and people on the job site, like adults. And then gain knowledge like, wow, he's a wise man. I would call him a wise man, very intelligent, didn't say much, only what was needed and important, and was, sat back and he never had to prove himself, he watched and observed, and I really admired that as an adult. And then, when I became a foreman, there are moments that I went into reactivity, and then I was able to remember, ooh, that's not the leader I want to be. I want to be the leader that, makes a joke or, thinks creatively. Instead of telling somebody what to do, I'll ask them like, hey, what do you think we should do? If it's an older man who's got a lot of more wisdom, it'd be a travesty for me to say, I know what you should do this. It was more like asking him and empowering him to say, like, I'm sure you know what to do. And if it wasn't right, obviously I'd say, that could work, but the prints show this, so we're going to do this. How does that feel? And they'd say, great, we got to do what is shown. So, I just had this experience in my mind where I got to reflect back on all the positive role models and other negative role models and be able to, okay, I like this, I don't like this, this is how I want to lead, this is who I want to become, this is how I want to navigate life in stressful situations.
And how much more respect, reverence do you have for that individual who is calm and delivering the information in such a stoic manner? You become magnetized to that person, and that's leadership, because you would likely run through a wall for that guy.
Oh yeah.
Like I remember the best boss I ever had, Doug Bones, up at Blue Mountain working as a lifty. I don't think the guy passed grade 7.
Yeah.
But he just had such an ability to, it's like even if you were just some punk kid who just got a job, he gave you all the respect in the world, and for some reason you could feel that, and he would go to war for you, and it was just became reciprocated.
Yeah.
And yes, he might not have been the most intellectual man, but intelligent. He was very intelligent with how to manage people. It was
Brilliant.
Fucking beautiful.
So he was a genius.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. That's relationship.
Yeah.
I think relationship may be one of the most important things to be successful at.
Yeah. I remember I was working with my father-in-law. I was laid off or something, I think, one winter at the golf course, and let's say I was in my early 20s, and I remember one of the foremen there, we were renovating a house or whatever, and it was just the way he delivered it, but he needed to correct me, and he just comes around the corner and whatever else says, hey, can I yell at you for a second? But he said it in such a light, like he's just, it was a way of setting me up going, hey, I need to correct you. Yeah. What you're doing isn't right.
Yeah.
Hey, can I yell at you for a second?
Yeah.
And it dropped my guard and my shame and any guilt I might have. It was just like, oh yeah, sure. Like, yeah, let's do it this way. Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's great.
But just to tag on to what you're saying, like, that's a vivid memory. Like that, I can remember it happening right now.
Yeah.
Like I'm still there.
Yeah.
It's a great imprint.
Beautiful.
That was a good share, dude. That's good stuff.
That was cool. Really came around. I thought I had nothing to give to this.
Oh, I was nervous.
Really?
I was like, I wanted to listen today. I didn't really want to talk, and then
look at us. We did it, baby.
Thank you for being with us. We love recording these podcasts. If you know anyone who would resonate with today's episode, we would be grateful if you would share it with them. If you have any questions or comments, do not be shy and reach out. We would love to connect with you. Until next time, be well, love yourself, and live consciously.